Welcome to Politics for Patriots. Here's your host, the eviscerator of progressive nonsense, the executioner of imbecility, and the grim reaper of BS, Eddie Zipper.
Hi, welcome to episode 90 of the Politics for Patriots podcast. Welcome to everyone, even those who are here to plunder my show for funny catchphrases, only to discover that you cannot deliver them as I pronounce them to you trippingly on the tongue. Subscribe on iTunes, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, every time you subscribe to a conservative podcast, a liberal somewhere sheds a tear.
Please don't be mean to me!
Before the Democratic debate, I logged into my Predicted account and made some investments. I bought Castro to get the least amount of talking time. And I knew it was going to be wrong. I really wanted to buy Klobuchar or Yang, but shares of Castro were so cheap, my shoulder devil could not resist. That's fine, though. I lost about $2, but it gave me a reason to be invested in the outcome of the debate. I stood a chance at making $20, and I honestly don't think I could have sat through all 2.5 hours of that debate without that chance. If only Castro hadn't suddenly gotten too big for his britches and decided America wants to hear him talk. If only he had been ashamed of his policy ideas like he ought to be, I would have won. So you can get on the action at predictit.com/promo/Patriots20. That's predictit.com/promo/Patriots20. You're going to have a blast with it. Go ahead and open an account today, and they will double your initial investment as long as you go to my URL, predictit.com/promo/Patriots20. It's fun, it's educational, and it'll help you survive the insanity of the Democratic debate season. Speaking of Democratic debates, they have become a graveyard for basic economic principles. Right? They're full of metaphorical, subtextual headstones that say things like, rest in peace. Here lies people responding to incentives. Dawn of time to 2019. Right? He had a long life. He was obvious to anyone with a brain. Also, a couple metaphorical subtextual headstones that read, rest in peace, U.S. Constitution. And I'm going to start with one of those. Beto O'Rourke, commonly known as Robert Francis, is the only presidential candidate I have ever heard in my lifetime promise to do something that by itself is thrice unconstitutional. That's right. By itself, it violates the Constitution in at least 3 ways. Maybe 4 ways. 3 explicitly and 1 implicitly. Okay? Beto's gun grab is unconstitutional. Clearly, in many ways. Like I said before, thrice unconstitutional. Beto says he's taking your AR-15s. Okay? Rest in peace, Democratic talking point that says nobody wants to take your guns away. Remember when Democrats said that all the time? Oh, nobody wants to take your guns away. Oh, oops. That's over now. Because the answer to that is now, really? Because Beto literally stood on a stage on national TV and said he's going to take away everybody's AR-15s. So Beto said it. Beto wants to take your guns away. Like literally Beto's big promise is to send people to your house to take away your AR-15. Totally unconstitutional, but not because of the Second Amendment. Everyone will think it's because of the Second Amendment. Everyone will argue the Second Amendment. But that's not the most egregious constitutional violation here. You can make the case that it violates the Second Amendment, yes. but it unquestionably violates three, I guess you could say, lesser-known clauses of the Constitution. It violates the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment, which says that the government cannot deprive you of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. That AR-15 is your property. You went to a store, you gave them money. In exchange, they gave you the AR-15. That AR-15 becomes your property. Beto, or President Beto, in this terrifying hypothetical, President Beto cannot take your AR-15 unless you have broken a law and have been charged. You can't be charged with breaking his new no AR-15 laws because there was no law against AR-15s when you bought it. Okay? You cannot use a new law to police past behavior, which is what Beto wants to do. That's unconstitutional. That's an ex post facto law. What does the Constitution say about ex post facto laws? It's against them. They're unconstitutional. No ex post facto laws, says the Constitution. Okay, and if Congress passes a law that says Beto can take your AR-15 without due process of law, then Congress has committed another severe constitutional no-no. Say it with me here. Bill of Attainder. Your property is your property, and any law by Congress that says it can be taken away from you without due process of law is once again unconstitutional. Not that that means anything to Democrats, but it is unconstitutional. The legislative branch, and people should know this, I mean, if you took 9th grade civics, you should know right off the top of your head that the legislative branch cannot punish you. The legislative branch cannot carry out the judicial function. Not ever. Not in any situation. Not even just a little tiny bit. So essentially, when Beto promises to take your AR-15, he is promising to violate the due process guarantee of the Fifth Amendment with an ex post facto bill of attainder. It's triple unconstitutional. So those are the three ways that it explicitly violates the Constitution. And if you want an implicit way that it violates the Constitution, the implicit way is that he's going to go do this through executive order or not at all. Congress isn't passing this. Both houses can go to the Democrats and still this is not going to pass. So there's no way, there's no law out there that authorizes the president to use an executive order in this way for gun confiscation or confiscation of property. So implicitly, it is unconstitutional in that way. So this thing is just, I mean, there's so much unconstitutionality radiating from this terrible idea. It's unthinkable. Of course, who gives a damn about any of that? Beto is at what? 2% in the polls? He's about as likely to become president as I am to become, like, Batman. When me and my bat suit and my best friend Robert are the only thing standing between order and chaos in Gotham City, that's when you should start to worry that Beto might win the presidency. It'll be interesting to see if anyone will be sent from the government to Beto's house to take away his car, because we all know that thing is a weapon of war when he gets boozed up, crashes into someone, and then flees the scene. Yeah, that's a real thing that happened. Google it. If he were a Republican, obviously it would have disqualified him from holding any public office ages ago. Lucky for him, he's walking around with that Democratic privilege. Don't leave home without it. All right, so did anybody in the audience right now even watch the Democratic debate? I literally forced myself to watch it. I felt like the guy in A Clockwork Orange when they strap him down and lock his eyes open and force him to watch the movies. That was me.
Then they clamped like lid locks on my eyes so that I could not shut them, no matter how hard I tried.
That was me trying to watch the Democratic debate, trying to suffer through all 2.5 hours of it. Seriously, every 30 seconds a doctor had to come along and put drops in my eyes while another doctor worried about the long-term health effects that the debate could have on me. The Democratic Party is in so much trouble right now. I'm serious. They are in trouble. They have gone off the rails. Right? They're a few tacos short of a fiesta. They are 100% cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And Beto is the worst out of all of them. He has destroyed himself. If he really wanted to have a career in national politics, he has totally destroyed it. He ain't gonna win a Senate seat in Texas now, that's for damn sure. Alright, but he probably doesn't want that. He probably just wants to sit next to Andrew McCabe on CNN and pretend that his opinion on the topics of the day matter and that anyone gives a crap. Maybe he wants his own New York Times opinion column. I mean, these are realistic dreams for him to have now. A public national office is like outside the realm of possibility. With his new gun grab idea, Beto crossed over from Orwellian nightmare to the next level, Swalwellian nightmare. Beto used his opening statement at the debate to say that the President of the United States is a white supremacist. The term white supremacist and white supremacism popped up more than once during this debate. You know what white supremacist means? It means what the word racist used to mean before Democrats robbed that word of all of its meaning. That's all it means. It just means racist. But the Democrats robbed the word racist of all its meaning, and so now they have to go search for new, powerful ways to say racism. Democrats always use words up and have to throw them out. See, people used to be afraid of doing or saying something racist, or someone calling you racist. I mean, that was once devastating, the thought that somebody would call you racist. Then, a bunch of whiny left-wing babies said, hey, people hate racism, so let's accuse our political opponents of racism every single day, whether they're racist or not. Any belief they have, let's just call it racist. Let's just find some some explanation that makes it racist. Any difference of opinion, we'll just say that it's racist. And then guess what happened? Then everything was racist. Everything. Right? Are you a woman wearing big hoop earrings? You're racist because you're plundering Latin culture. That's a real opinion that a Vice writer wrote. If someone has an accent and you ask them where they're from, even if your interest is genuine, that is racist. In 2017, Oxford University said that avoiding eye contact is racism. Then they had to apologize because people with autism avoid eye contact, so the claim that avoiding eye contact is racist suddenly became ableist, and Oxford, having crossed their isms, had to rush out an apology. We are sorry, this is a direct quote, we are sorry that we took no account of other reasons for difference in eye contact and social interaction, including disability. The list goes on and on of things that aren't racist that morons have called racist. See, what all these idiots really did was not snuff out racism by calling it out wherever they saw it. They didn't really, they just pretended to see it, obviously. What they really did was they trivialized real racism so that they could use racism as a weapon against people who aren't actually racist. They took the word racism and they made accusations of it such an everyday, ordinary occurrence that they robbed the word of all its power. If I say the political leaders in Chicago are doing a poor job running their city, and that's racist, well, then who cares if someone calls you racist? If everything is racist, then who cares? Then it doesn't mean anything to be racist if everything is racist. Eddie Izzard, who's a famous stand-up comedian, explained this phenomenon best using the word awesome. And just to be clear, Eddie Izzard wasn't talking at all about racism or what I'm talking about when he made these jokes. He was just talking about the word awesome, but it's a perfect parallel to what I'm talking about. So to paraphrase Eddie Izzard, he says, the word awesome exists to express that something has literally filled you with awe. Okay, here's what the word actually means from the dictionary. The word awesome means extremely impressive or daunting, inspiring, great admiration, apprehension, or fear. Neil Armstrong takes his first steps on the moon. It would be appropriate to describe the experience as awesome, because it really fills you with awe. It's extremely impressive or daunting, inspiring great admiration, apprehension, or fear. But instead, we use the word awesome to describe a hot dog. And after 1 million people have used the word awesome to describe 1 million hot dogs, the word loses its meaning. It no longer means extremely impressive or daunting, inspiring great admiration, apprehension, or fear. It just means kind of good.
And you go up there, and you need awesome, because you're going to be going to the next sun to us, and the president's going to be like, can you tell me, astronaut, tell me what it's like? It's awesome, sir. Well, like a hot dog?
And this is the exact same way that the word racist has been abused. If hot dogs are racist, then the word racist has no meaning anymore. It has become trivialized because it was used in a trivial way. And that's why everything has to be white supremacism now. What does white supremacist mean? It means racist. It means what the word racist is actually supposed to mean and what it used to mean. So now that the word racist has been trivialized into oblivion, Democrats have switched over to a scarier sounding term. But it won't sound scary for long, right? White supremacism still sounds powerful. You still hear that word and you're like, oh God, that sounds bad. Oh, what? Because it hasn't been destroyed yet, but it will be soon. It won't be powerful for much longer because Democrats are going to abuse it and trivialize it in the same exact way that they abused and trivialized the word racist. And when they call your day-to-day, like, oh my gosh, you talked to someone, that's white supremacy. Once they start doing that, then that word will have no meaning, and they'll have to come up with something new. This is why, in political opinion, everyone has to compare everyone they don't like to Hitler. Because that's like the only powerful thing. It's like the furthest you can go. It's like, oh yeah, that person is a super triple Hitler Nazi. You have to use outrageous hyperbole because you've already ran regular hyperbole into the ground. The Democrats rarely have logic, reason, or common sense on their side, so they are forced to constantly play word games. This is very confusing to people who are easily manipulated. Democrats rely heavily on the tactic of using language to manipulate people, particularly people who are not very well informed. That's why Democrats refuse to differentiate between illegal immigrants and legal immigrants. If you give people a way to differentiate between those two things, then they can see the difference and they can say, you know what, I love legal immigrants who came here legally, but I think that you should not be coming here illegally. Oh, if those are two different things, then you can have different opinions about both of them. I give legal immigration a thumbs up, I give illegal immigration a thumbs down. So, what is the only solution to this? We'll have to ban the term illegal immigrants. We'll just make it disappear from language. And then, you won't be able to say, I give legal immigration a thumbs up and illegal immigration a thumbs down because there won't be any such thing as illegal immigration. If we just refer to it all as immigration, then there are no subsets, and you either have to give all of immigration a thumbs up or you have to give all of immigration a thumbs down. And if you give all of immigration a thumbs down, then you're a white supremacist. It's so ridiculous. And the media goes right along with it. They're like, we're not going to use the term illegal immigration because people can't be illegal. Yeah, that doesn't sound like complete and total See, if you're pro-legal immigration, but you're anti-illegal immigration, then what are you? You're a white supremacist because you acknowledge that there are subsets of immigration. And one subset is legal immigration, people who came here just the way that they were supposed to, and we all give it a thumbs up. And then there's there's illegal immigration, people who came here against the law. And if you acknowledge that, then you are a racist, or in 2019, a white supremacist. Most of what Democratic politicians spew is actually just mind tricks. Conservatives, for instance, believe you should have to show your ID in order to vote. That's a very basic common sense thing. Are you really who you say you are? Well, Democrats say that making people show their IDs disenfranchises black voters. I know a lot of black people. I have literally never met a single black person in my life who cannot get an ID. So who are they talking about? Who is this disenfranchising? If there are really eligible voters who cannot get an ID, I will literally support whatever measure has to be taken to get an ID into their hands. Any measure, I don't care. Send someone to their house to take a picture and make them an ID. Or set up a DMV kiosk on every corner. I'm fine with all that. But I think people should show an ID when they vote. It's basic common sense. The other side of the argument, the side that says you're racist if you want people to prove their identity, that is nothing but a trick. It is designed to scare you into abandoning your common sense because you're too afraid to be labeled. I'm gonna abandon common sense because I am just too scared of being labeled racist because it's such a horrible label. But I think people should show their IDs when they vote. Well, then I'm going to call you the worst thing in my arsenal. I'm going to call you a white supremacist. Okay, never mind. I'm against IDs now because I'm scared of the label that you are slapping on people. So I'm going to believe how you want me to believe in order that I will not get that horrible scarlet A put on my chest. It's a trick. Person goes, people need to show IDs when they vote. Democrat goes,
you don't need to see his identification.
Weak-minded person goes,
We don't need to see his identification.
it's an old Jedi mind trick. Alright, so there is real racism and real white supremacism in America, and that's why it is important not to trivialize it. It's like the boy who cried wolf. He says, wolf, there's no wolf, and then nobody believes him when there is a wolf. If you say racism when there is no racism, then real racism thrives. Most of the people on the stage at the Democratic debate have completely abandoned common sense, logic, reason, and the Constitution. Biden and Klobuchar are literally the only two people on the stage who seem to be running for a national office in the United States. Or at least, they seem to be the only two who are aware that they are running for a national office in the United States. They have policy ideas I don't like, obviously. But they have mostly reasonable ideas, and they intend to use a constitutional process to realize them. Unfortunately for him, Biden has a whole other problem, and it's a serious problem, which is that, now I'm not a doctor and I won't speculate on why this is, but Biden's brain, for some reason or another, cannot retrieve the words that he wants. It's called aphasia. I don't want to call myself a medical expert, but I've seen every episode of House multiple times. Now, this doesn't mean that Biden is intellectually impaired. It just means he can't grab the word that he wants.
Play the radio. Make sure make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
He should have stuck with television. How could you grab record player there? He was about to say television. He decided he needed to go with record player. What group of kids is he talking about here? The kids from that 70s show? Record player? He's like, yeah, man. Load some M3P files onto the Victrola, give it a crank, and let's listen to some classical sandwiches. It's like Homer Simpson. I need one of those things that you use to dig food. A spoon? Yeah. And like I said, I suspect Biden is probably actually fine, other than the word retrieval woes that he is having. But how is he going to win the primary and then the general election when he's making gaffes of various sizes every time he speaks? The truth is, though, Biden has been like this for as long as I can remember. But it seems worse now. However, I think it only seems worse because we're seeing so much of him right now. He's in the spotlight right now. So Biden's word-grabbing problem, I'm not going to say aphasia because I'm not a doctor. So Biden's word retrieval problem seems worse now the way that traffic seems worse when you're out driving in your car rather than when you're sitting at home. And Biden may or may not have a neurological problem, but if he does, it doesn't seem to affect his long-term memory. In fact, he seemed to be the only one on the stage who remembers that there's a constitution. We have a constitution in this country. What? We have all these rules that you have to follow, even if you're president of the United States. And what really concerned me in this debate was the outright hostility to the Constitution. These Democrats haven't even been elected president yet, and they've already decided they're going to have to bypass Congress. Congress hasn't even had the opportunity to frustrate them into those feelings yet. I mean, say what you want about Obama, at least he let Congress frustrate him before he decided to go the pen and phone route. These Democrats have already given up on Congress as a concept. I mean, maybe it shows awareness that they know how shitty their ideas are. And they're like, well, I'm not going to ever convince anybody that I'm going to get that through Congress, so I'll just go ahead and say I'm just going to do it. I mean, just listen to this clip of Kamala Harris talking about executive orders. And Biden's like, hey, there's a constitution. Because like I said, he's the only one who seems to remember that. Castro desperately pounced on Biden, acting like Biden had memory problems, but Biden remembers there's a constitution. I'm not sure Castro remembers that. But listen to this clip of Kamala Harris.
Executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a constitution.
And yes, we can.
When that happened, every single person I follow on Twitter suddenly tweeted, like, is Kamala Harris drunk? Is she high? Like, not only did it sound like that, and I mean, she sounds like she went on a bender and now she wants the keys to the presidency so she can crash it into Article 1 of the Constitution. Or, to shorten it, she sounds like she's going to Beto the Constitution. But not only does she sound drunk, she looks drunk, because she's like leaning way over the podium like she's going to topple right over it. But look, that Congress hasn't even been elected yet, and Kamala Harris has already given up on them. Oh, we'll never get it through there. The Democratic Party is a total disaster. Other than maybe like Biden and Klobuchar, everyone on that stage is a fool who could never, ever win a general election in this country against Trump or anyone. I mean, when Biden is reminding you that we have a constitution and that we have to follow the constitution, that's a pretty bad sign. Alright, don't forget to visit predicted.com/promo/patriots20 and open an account. They'll double your initial investment up to $20. It's awesome, it's fun, it's educational. Alright, and that's all I got for today. I'm out of here.
It's awesome, sir. Well, like a hot dog?
You just listened to Politics for Patriots with Eddie Zipper. Email the show at patriots@eddiezipper.com and please subscribe.